G'day guys, welcome back to the channel. Now in the NFL wildcard, I went 5 from 6 in tips, pretty good, including that massive upset, the Washington Commanders ending Tampa Bay Buccaneers season. Also picked the Rams from LA to beat the Minnesota Vikings, and they did that. So really good in picks last week. Let's get into these 4 juicy divisional matches. Starting off with the Kansas City Chiefs hosting the Houston Texans. Now the Texans with a massive upset win and a massive score of 20 points, going in as big underdogs, about 3-1 against the LA Chargers, who have been inconsistent but have been pretty good, especially on the defense this year. But in this game, Justin Herbert threw 4 interceptions and the Texans defense just forced turnovers, went after the Chargers when needed, and the Chargers just didn't look great out there. They were able to stop the run. They were doing it all. Now, the Kansas City Chiefs haven't played in 3 weeks. They had the bye coming in the first seed. They had a game against the Broncos where they rested their starters, and now everyone's coming back to Arrowhead for a chance to play in, I don't even know now, our 6th straight almost AFC Championship. It's becoming crazy how dynasty the team has become. It's crazy because if you go back 8 years, this team was doing small things, but there were also times we weren't even making the playoffs. Now, we're the most hated team in football, which is absolutely crazy, the turnaround. And I hope Parramatta are like this one day. I hope Parramatta create a dynasty that the league and everyone hates it because of how good they are. But breaking down this game, the Texans defense is very good right now, and it is going to stop the Chiefs offense quite a few times. So the Chiefs are going to need to score points in those opportunities. Now the Chiefs offense there's been issues for me all year, but I know in the postseason I've seen it that players can turn up. So although I'm going to do something different this week, I'm actually going to give you a score for the game and a touchdown scorer. Take this with a grain of salt as previous playoff sort of matches. For this game here, I'm going to go with the Kansas City Chiefs to win by 10. I think this game will be low scoring, and I think the Texans will stop the Chiefs from getting out to a high score of, say, 27. So in this game, I'm going to go the Chiefs to win 20 points to 10, the Chiefs by 10. I think we win this game and advance to the AFC Championship. And I'm actually going to go with Travis Kelce to score a touchdown. He hasn't been great this season, but when it hits to postseason, these combinations, he's a different beast. Next up, it is the Washington Commanders heading to Detroit to take on the Detroit Lions for a spot in the NFC Championship. And the Detroit Lions are coming off some rest. I'm just trying to remember, they did play their starters against the Minnesota Vikings in that match. And they also played their starters the previous week against the San Francisco 49ers in a nothing game. So they'll be rested from this particular week. But unlike the Chiefs, they haven't had as much rest going into the game. And then you've got the Washington Commanders, who they've been playing really good ball. They've been winning by 1 possession, and that's what they did again by the walk-off field goal just the other day. And it's great to see this team succeed. Their first playoff win in 20 years. Jaden Daniels, I've been calling it all year. As soon as I saw him, as soon as I saw the Hail Mary, different moments. At the start of the year, I said the Washington Commanders are going to the playoffs. Look how good this guy looks. And he is killing it. And the team is looking more and more complete as these weeks go on. This is a big test for them heading to Detroit. Detroit were in the NFC Championship last year, but this Detroit stadium is going to be making a lot of noise for a team that is currently the favourites to end a massive drought of almost 100-year drought of never winning a Super Bowl, never appearing in a Super Bowl. It's just massive for this fan base. For that reason, I feel like the Commanders are a team that will go for it on 4th down, and that will restrict them from field goal. Something we saw against Tampa that could have gone the negative way against them, but it worked in their favour. As for Detroit, I just see them outscoring Commanders by a decent score. So I see this line of 8.5, and I know there's people that think that the Commanders cover 8.5. I think the opposite. I think Detroit win this game and win well, because I can see the Commanders getting 2 field goals and a touchdown, but I don't see them getting 3 touchdowns and putting up 24 plus against the Lions, even though their banged up defense, what was good against the Vikings, is going to be tested here just a little bit in the passing game, because the passing of Jaden Daniel is brilliant. So I am going to go the Lions, a big score here. The Lions to win by 17 points. I'm going with a scoreline of 30 to the Lions, 13 to the Washington Commanders. It's been a great season from Washington, and they can hold their heads high, but I expect them to bow out, and I expect the Lions to put on a show. Touchdown, Jahmyr Gibbs. Now that that's out of the way, let's get on to the LA Rams heading to Philadelphia to take on the Philadelphia Eagles. And the Eagles were starting to let the Packers back into the game. Their defense was fairly solid for the most part. Saquon had another big game, but he was contained just a little bit in that second half compared to some of his second half performances. The issue with the Eagles is, although they have a great run with Barkley, Hurts, AJ Brown had 1 catch, and I think against this Rams defense that had like 7 sacks in the game against the Vikings, they were very, very good and blew them out 27-9. I think it was the score. So another big scoreline there against the Vikings, and their season comes to an end. But a really impressive, and I love that the Rams are playing the Eagles, because this was the first game of football I watched. So I'll always remember now, I went and saw Rams and Eagles. Saquon broke that record in the game of most rushing yards, I think, for the franchise. And now they meet in the playoffs, which is massive. Now these teams are both in good form, but the Rams are playing better than they were just a couple months ago. This game, Jalen Hurts has to throw. He's going to be forced to throw. We've seen him throw good at moments this year, but it's not regular. And for the Eagles to win the Super Bowl, he is going to have to be forced to throw. As I mentioned, AJ Brown, 1 catch last week. It's not good enough. They need to be throwing to Dallas Goedert. They need to be throwing to AJ Brown in this game. The run is good, and the Rams aren't the greatest at the run, but overall, I feel like the Eagles at home should win this game. I'm not confident in tipping the Eagles here, but I think they will eliminate the Rams in a close matchup. The Rams 20, the Eagles 27. I'm going with the Philadelphia Eagles to win it by 7. If Jalen Hurts isn't passing this game, if it's all run, I think the Rams can win it. Anytime touchdown for this game, Jalen Hurts. And the final game in the AFC divisional round is going to be massive. It is the Baltimore Ravens heading to Buffalo to take on the Buffalo Bills. Now, the Baltimore Ravens blew out the Bills earlier in the season when the Bills didn't have their complete defense. Now, the Bills are a known team where their weakness is the run, and the Ravens have dominated the run all year with Derrick Henry, Lamar Jackson. It's going to be interesting to see if Zay Flowers is available for this one, but I've mentioned countless times that the combinations between Lamar Jackson and Mark Andrews, and I've lost one of the names, but there's another great combination right now there at the Ravens. The passing game is good as well. Then you've got the Buffalo Bills. You've got James Cook having a game against the Denver Broncos. It's hard because the Bills have had to play a rookie quarterback in the playoff against a pretty good defense in the Denver Broncos this year. So look, it is a good win for the Bills. But I mean, the Steelers, although they dropped off, they leaked some points in that game. The Ravens let the Steelers into that game at a point, and we know how good this Baltimore team has been this year, and you know that they want to go better. You know that Lamar wants to win his first Super Bowl. Josh Allen wants to just bring this happiness to Buffalo because they've been knocking on the door for years. They've been like South Sydney of the NRL 3-4 years ago, because that's what they were. But this is a really tough game to decide, and this game looks like it should be a 35-40 sort of point scoreline. I'm going to tell you now that I feel like in this game, both of these defenses are going to step up and force some turnovers, force some, fourth down, and they can't get that first down sort of thing. Lots of punts in this game compared to the Commanders and Lions game in relation. So as for this game, I feel like it's going to come down to potentially who has the ball last. And in Buffalo, at home, against a Ravens team that embarrassed them early in the year. I think the offense of the Buffalo Bills could be a little bit too much here for the Ravens. This could be a brilliant game, so tough to decide, but I'm going to go with the Bills to win by 2. I think it's going to come down to the Bills going for a 2-point conversion at some point in the game, and that ultimately being what wins them the game as the Ravens start to come back in this game and come back heavily. I think the Bills lead early and then the Ravens really start to come back and look like they're going to win. But I'm tipping the Bills to win this one 23-21. My anytime touchdown scorer after last week's performance, and I think Josh Allen will be shut down a couple times. I'll go James Cook. Those are my tips for the NFL divisional round. Please let me know your tips in the comments. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Next week, I'll be speaking about the AFC and NFC championship game, which is really exciting. And then we're done. And then we speak about the Super Bowl and the season's over, and it's crazy to think. And my boy, Patrick Levon Mahomes, let's see if you can get it done. Let's see if we can get that three-peat that nobody wants. It's feeling closer and it's getting excited. I know a lot of people will hate me right now, but that's my team and I back them in. I said at the start of the year the Detroit Lions win it. I would love to see the Lions and the Chiefs meet in the Super Bowl. BKR, a good friend of mine on YouTube, BKR Sport, go and check him out. Massive Lions fan, and he's been struggling for years. So be really good to see that Super Bowl. But let me know your picks in the comments. Subscribe if you're new around here. Thank you for watching. I'll see you guys later.